We've got Jacob Little here and we're going to let him intro himself today.
Thank you so much.
Let's get it.
Yeah, so I'm Jacob Little. I'm co-founder of About Time for Justice. We specialise in helping survivors of institutional child abuse seek justice, start healing, possible compensation. Our mission is to help all survivors of institutional child abuse seek justice and start healing while giving the voiceless their voices back. I use my compensation money that I received for going through institutional SA to start this organisation along with my business partner. My father is also a survivor of institutional SA to start our organisation. Yeah.
Thanks for sharing that, Jacob. That's a really powerful story. And, you know, I've seen you speak. I saw you speak at the integration puzzle and I could see that you evoked a lot of emotion in the crowd. And I think you talk about things that a lot of people don't feel comfortable talking about because of the shame. And I think by you talking about these things, it helps a lot of people start their healing journey. So good on you. And I really admire that. So that's fucking awesome.
Yeah.
What I wanted to ask you, Jacob, is we'll start with what is hanging around your neck?
Yeah, what is going on there?
So Jesus Peace. No, it's a Gold Coast Marathon participation medal. So on Sunday I ran Gold Coast Marathon.
Awesome.
And I got a personal best, so it was pretty
How
hard.
good.
Go
Yeah.
the personal best.
Fuck
Now
yeah.
tell us the reason behind what sparked participating in the run.
Yeah, so the reason why I wanted to do it was last year I done it. So this is my second marathon, and I wanted to raise some awareness for my mother's disability.
Mm-hmm.
So she's got a really rare disability called multiple system atrophy of the cerebellum.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, there's no cure to this disability.
Mhm.
So White Parkinson's Foundation is set up around helping to support people with this disability. It's so rare. There's only 300 people in Australia with this disability. So as you could imagine, there's not much funding that goes towards disabilities where there's not many people with it.
Yeah.
So the MSAC, it's in the Parkinson's family.
Mm-hmm.
So it's all an example that most people know about is Muhammad Ali. He's a
Yes.
boxer.
Yes.
Yeah, so it's everything but the shakiness. So
Yeah.
all the cognitive stuff, she's can't walk properly, she's losing her voice, she can't remember things.
Mhm.
So yeah, we raised $6,600 for that. And
How
That's so good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
yeah.
Good on you. I guess it takes a lot of mental strength to run in a marathon.
Yes.
So,
Fuck that. You never
yeah.
catch me there.
We struggle to get our steps in daily, let alone run a marathon.
Yeah.
We've been trying to get our steps in for months anyway.
Years.
So thank you for sharing that with us, because obviously, you know, a lot of people struggle with things like that. I've personally never heard of what your mum has before, so
Yeah.
it's really inspiring that you know, can speak so openly about it and share
Yeah.
your personal experience. I kind of had a question for like your work.
Mm.
Kind of, can you run us through maybe like how you started that, and then kind of the day-to-day things or
Yeah.
like things that you do for the survivors in your work?
Yeah, so when I used to be in a gang, I used to be a president of an outlaw motorcycle gang.
That's
and
how we
also-
met.
Yeah, I was just about to say, do we bring that up?
Back in the day when I was an old lady.
Yeah, back in the days.
Back in the days, yeah. Sorry.
Pretty No, you're all right. Yeah, so I used to be caught up in a lot of the, wrong side of the law,
Mhm.
involved in street gangs, bikies. I was in and out of jail. One stage I was looking at 20 plus years. So I stepped
That's
away
not
from
a
that
good
life.
feeling, is it?
No, definitely
It's
not. Definitely not a good feeling. So I was sort of stepping away from that life, and I had to get a job because I was making money in the wrong ways, committing crimes, doing whatever it is. I don't want to incriminate myself on this podcast.
It's all
Don't do it.
allegedly.
All alleged.
Allegedly. Yeah, anyway, so I'm really into my training. Like, I've done the Gold Coast Marathon.
Yeah.
And I like boxing, like going to the gym and stuff like that. So I was like, to my dad, I was like, what do you think I should do now? It's like, I want to be a personal trainer. But just before that, I started sharing my story about going through institutional SA. And he's like, why don't you ask the person who helped you to tell your story? So I was like, I want to ask them. So they gave me a start. And that's sort of how I got into doing this type of work. And they encouraged me to start studying at university. So I started working, which was pretty, I don't know, I didn't really have any jobs. I had a few failed companies. I had a clothing label and a tow truck. Anyway, they didn't work. And so, yeah, I stepped in, started working, started turning up for myself every day,
Yeah.
getting into that healthy routine. And then I sort of started at university, and then they gave me the blessing to go out and start my organisation, About Time for
Yeah.
Justice.
So good. Did you have any barriers studying uni, having like a criminal record? Because I know, like Belle, you've tried to study some things and they've not let you.
Yeah, there's certain things that you can't study,
Yeah.
or they will like ask you to have a letter of explanation about your charges. So, for example, Bond Uni asked you to submit a letter of explanation about what your charges are, etc.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like, well, hello, I've already explained this to the judge.
Yeah.
Why do you need to explain it to the uni as well?
Yeah.
So yeah, touch on some barriers if there was
Yeah.
any in regards to studying having a criminal record.
Yeah. For studying, I don't think there was any barriers for what I wanted to study. It's more for, so you have to do, I'm studying law. So the barriers for me are, once I finish my law degree, you have to be admitted. So you have to sit
like to
in,
the bar.
Yeah. Yeah, so you have to sit in front of Supreme Court judges.
Wouldn't be
And
the
good
first
luck.
time.
Yeah, the first time. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so you sort of have to present how you've changed and
Yeah.
address all the criminal charges.
Yeah.
So recently I've actually been doing my blue and yellow card submissions, and I had to go through all my charges, and I've done a lot of self-discovery on myself. And,
Yeah.
They
thinking
send you
about,
parts of your brief, hey, and you look at it and you go, fuck, I don't know her.
yeah, who is
I don't
that?
know that bitch.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's full on.
So that will be a hard part. But one of my mates, Richard Brooking, he was admitted last year in Supreme Court, and I went there and watched him. And there's another lady named Debbie Kilroy. She done 4 years or something for drug trafficking. So, do you know her or something?
No.
Oh,
No comment.
okay.
Yeah, Felicia, you can ask a question.
Okay.
So, Jacob, I see a lot that you post a gratitude list every morning. I like that because that's what
Yeah.
I do as well.
Oh, do you?
Same,
Connie
yeah.
does it too.
Every
and
morning.
I always tell all my clients to do it as well.
Yeah.
So, why do you do the gratitude list and how does it help you?
Yeah, so the reason that I do it, when I started working and going to university, I was just I was getting away from that old life, and I lost a lot of people in my old life.
Yeah.
I had to cut them off. I was just drinking, taking a lot of drugs. I was on the coke all the time. I was smashing the bag. I was depressed. I was always coming down.
Sorry, we shouldn't laugh.
No,
but-
we're laughing
That's
because
all right.
this morning I said to Connie, fuck, I'm so tired. I need someone to crack my back and give me a bag. And she's like, no, that's the old days, not anymore. Yeah, sorry, keep going.
No, that's all right. Yeah, so I'll just I started listening to podcasts, and anybody who's listening to this who thinks you can't get out of that life, this is how I done it. I started listening to podcasts, listening to YouTube, and just learning different things. You don't have to be around people to, I don't know, get recognition or things like that when you're trying to change your life, because if you cut them people off, you're only going to move forward. And when I first stepped away, my mentors were like, it's going to get easier, and I was like, I thought this was it, I'm going to have no friends. But then it started getting easier, so I started listening to podcasts, educating myself, and there was this person, Andrew Fasella, who does a grateful list every day.
Yeah.
So I started doing that every single day, and every single day I'm always grateful for my freedom
Yeah.
and my
That's a
loved
big
ones.
one.
They always start
Yeah.
with them too.
I
So
always
freedom.
say having a safe home, a safe, comfortable home
Yeah.
is a big one, and having your health as well and freedom, 100% your freedom.
Yeah.
What are you grateful for, Connie?
I think for me, the big one I always say is opportunity, because obviously I grew up in PNG, and I'm in Australia for the opportunities here, and just family and freedom. Not because in the same situation as you guys, but just personal stuff. So
I think it shifts your perspective onto what's going wrong for you and what's actually going right for you.
Yeah.
And the more you focus on what's going right for you,
yeah,
I think the more good things come to you. It keeps you in the positive mindset.
and it kind of takes you out of that ruminating mindset as well. And I think a lot of people kind of underestimate the value of gratitude, and not a lot of people actually do it.
It's a small achievable thing that people can actually do every day. Doesn't take up much time, and it makes you feel good, because when you're recalling things that you're grateful for, your mood shifts straight
Yeah.
away. Even if you wake up in a shit mood, you do your gratitude list and you're already like, fuck, this day's looking all right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It changes
Yeah.
something in your heart as
does.
well.
does.
There's a video, I can't remember what it was, but yeah, it changes something in your heart as well, and it's good to start the day. So
Yeah.
I'll have to do more research so I can explain a bit.
Yeah, Connie, you're meant to
Sorry.
be doing research for this pod. Fucking-
Been in the trenches.
Now, Jacob, what I wanted to ask you was, how do you stay motivated, and what does resilience mean to you?
Yeah. So I suppose the way that I stay motivated is sticking to my goals. Like I have a vision board, a goal board. It sounds like, I don't know, pretty cliche, I suppose. Like some people, you might say a vision board or
Yeah.
your goals. But I each and every day look at my goals and my vision board. And I sort of like look, 3-month goal, 6-month goal, 9-month goal, year goal. And I look at that every single day. I honestly wake up every single day so excited to just get out and try and smash them goals.
I love the idea
Yeah.
of vision
Inspiring.
board because it keeps everything at the forefront
Yeah.
of your mind. And
Yeah.
when you're having a day where you don't really want to do anything, you look at that vision board and you're like, fuck, I've got to go get it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Keeps it right there in the forefront.
Yeah.
We should do a vision
Yeah,
board,
we
Connie.
should. We just
Mine's
talk too much.
outdated. Mine's outdated.
We just talk. We don't actually put the visions out there.
Oh, but you're making it happen. Look at you two go rippers.
We're trying.
We're
We're trying.
So I'm just looking at Brenda because I said, Jacob, you mentioned you had a lot of self-discovery.
Yeah.
How important is that for you in your work?
Yeah, it's super important. I think realizing a part of that self-discovery is my last charges I had to do like heaps of. I didn't have to actually. I only done it so I didn't go to jail.
So I
So-
look good in front of the judge.
So I look good in front of the judge. But then I started like going in there like with
Yeah.
a different attitude because my
Yeah.
attitude was fuck. I'm just going in there. Fuck, I hate this bitch.
Yeah.
Fucking, she hates me. Like I swear she just hated me.
Excuse me, Your Honour,
Yeah.
but you weren't even fucking there.
Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, I just started rolling in there with a bit of an attitude, and then I was like, I might start taking something from this.
Yeah.
And then I was like, that sort of makes sense. Like the reasons why I thought that way as a grown up around it. But yeah, it's so important to identify all them little things, how you think,
Yeah.
like in your own mind. Like I grew up from the young age of 10 years old having jail phone calls because my dad done a 16.5-year prison sentence. So he done all his time in New South Wales. So I grew up having jail phone calls,
Yeah.
having jail visits, having like the sniffer dogs run over my private area, my family's private areas, doing it to the other boys' families and
Yeah.
loved ones on the visits. So I suppose, it's really important for me to understand why I think that way in a part of self-discovery and looking at all my charges, like heaps of my charges are like, because I was paranoid, because I was on drugs,
Yeah.
and looking back and thinking, fuck, I don't need to think like that, and understanding why I thought like that, really important.
What was your light bulb moment, or maybe I should reframe that as your life changing moment where you thought, I need to change, I need to flip the script on this
Yeah.
life story?
Yeah, that's awesome. And I just want to give a little bit of context to this answer. So in the last 10 days, I visited my mate at Paling Creek Correctional Centre. He's doing 4.5 on the bottom. He's 2.5 years in. I bumped into a mate at Robina Town Shopping Centre, and he'd been to jail twice in the last 6 months. He's got 80 counts of trafficking. My other mate's on bail for assault charges. There was one other thing that I was...
I thought you said you got a new group of mates, Jacob.
No,
I was
no.
just about to
I was
ask,
like,
I'm
hold
joking.
on.
I'm
Yeah.
joking, I'm joking. No.
I know what you mean. Yeah, that's what I was thinking about. I was telling someone the other day, I was like, fuck, all my mates that I used to hang around, like, I don't forget about my mates though. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Same.
They're
Yeah.
important part of you.
Yeah. So I suppose, can you ask that question again? I lost my train of thought.
It was, what was your like light bulb moment,
Yeah.
or your like, I need to flip the script on
Yeah.
this shit,
Yeah. So from that, like, I know that I would 100% be in jail right now or dead. So the other one was I caught up with my mate for breakfast the other morning, and one of the boys OD'd, dead,
Yeah.
gone. So in the last 10 days, 2 mates are on bail, one's in jail, one's dead. So
Well,
it's-
you know what? That's actually what I said to you when we got in contact again. I was like, Jacob, I'm so proud of you because everyone's either doing a massive whack or they're dead. I
Yeah.
said
Yeah.
that exact sentence to you, and
Yes.
it's the truth. It's really sad.
Yeah.
It's the truth. Yeah.
So my light bulb moment was when my dad was coming up for parole.
Yeah.
So dad was coming up for parole, and his parole condition was non-association. You know what that is?
Don't I know it?
But I suppose to spell it out for people who might not know
Yeah.
what it is.
Yeah.
So non-association means that you're not allowed to be around any gang members, former gang members, anyone who's associated in an OMCG, outlaw motorcycle gangs, street gangs, jail gangs. So my dad and I were both in the same club, both outlaw motorcycle club, and
Yeah.
I was still, I think I might have been in a ranking position in a club at the time. But anyway, parole said to him that me and him will be on non-association. So I just spent 16 and a half years visiting
Yeah.
jails, having jail phone calls,
Yeah.
all them shit things. And I was like, so you're going to like stop me from
It's
seeing
cruel.
my dad?
It's
That's
really
so
cruel.
cruel.
Yeah.
Same thing happened with
Yeah.
Dean and I
Yeah.
when he got out. We could speak the whole time he was inside, visit the whole time, like you and your dad.
Yeah.
But as soon as he was due to be released, we were
Yeah.
also on those conditions as well. It's cruel. You wait so long for your loved one to get out of prison, and then when they get out, they're like, "Nah, sorry, you suddenly can't talk now after you've supported them their whole sentence."
It's so
That's
interesting. Like they're
heartbreaking,
supposed
man.
to be about, reform and
Family
rehabilitation
support.
and family support,
Yeah.
but they're not allowing you to have that privilege. And
Yeah.
it's like,
ridiculous.
who are you to say that?
Yeah.
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 Yeah, okay. So you were put on non-association with your dad, and you
Yeah.
thought, "Shit, like, what am I gonna do?"
Yeah, so parole, I don't know if I was getting investigated at the time or they were following me or they listened to my phone calls, but they said if Jacob's lying, because I was going to lie and say I'm out of the gang and I'll still be in it.
Yeah,
So like they said
that
if
old chestnut.
Yeah, that old chestnut. They were a few steps ahead. Anyway, so I sort of said to Dad, this is the situation. And I told the club, I was like, listen, I'm out. This is the reasons why.
Yeah,
And they sort of, that's sort of how I left. That was my light bulb moment.
Yeah.
And it's funny that it's like I'm saying about the non-association. So my last prison sentence, I was put into a cell block under some anti-gang laws called vicious lawlessness disestablishment. I can't remember the acronym. I always fuck it up. It's called VLAD laws.
yeah.
But essentially, everyone in that unit was all in an OMCG club.
I remember when they brought out those Vlad laws.
Yeah.
It was chaotic.
Yeah.
And for the people that might not know, and
Yeah.
maybe Connie won't know.
Yeah, I'm
this
just
'cause
sitting here
this is,
like,
you know,
interesting.
outside of her era. Explain about the pink jumpsuits.
Yeah.
Have you heard about the pink jumpsuits?
No, explain it to me.
Yeah. So like the conditions were that you had to do 22.5 hour day lockdowns, no TV in the cell, made to wear pink. Like that's not a gig.
Made to wear hot pink, like jumpsuits,
Yeah.
prison jumpsuits.
Yeah.
They thought that was going to be a deterrent. Tell me, someone isn't like they're allegedly about to maybe traffic a couple of kilos of drugs, and they're going to go, hold up, I can't go through with this. I don't want to wear pink when I get locked up. Like,
Yeah.
on what planet is
Yeah.
that a deterrent? Like,
Yeah.
seriously, it's Campbell Newman.
Yeah.
It never makes
Yes.
sense, like all of these things, but yeah.
Jacob was arrested under those laws, and he was in
Wait, so
a pink
you were in pink?
jumpsuit.
Yeah. I look pretty in pink though.
Yeah, I was
so-
gonna say,
you look good at
I was rocking it. Yeah.
So I had a question, if you're open to speaking about it. At the start of the podcast, you mentioned institutional SA.
Yeah.
I don't think a lot of people will actually know what that is.
Yeah.
So would you mind explaining it?
Yeah, of course. So institutional SA can be, or an institution can be a boys' home, girls' home, foster cares, DOCs, any youth detention centres, any churches or church-run organisations, missions, reserves, community-based groups, sporting teams, Girls Guides, Scouts, any sort of after-school cares, any school. So my dad's abuse was school. I think it
Yeah.
was primary school, but it could be private, public, boarding, before and after. Foster care systems around Australia have different names. It could be known as Ward of the State. Northern Territory has territory families, DCP, DCJ, churches as well. So a lot of the church groups would run like church camps. And I've seen a lot of this in the remote Indigenous communities. I'd take all the young Indigenous kids out and like get them drunk. This is priests I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And groom the families to be able to get them out, give them smokes, groom them with lollies and things like that. So they, inside the churches, they have their own schools too. So before and after school programs, just separate programs. So that's an institution, and sexual SA could be, or anything that's around SA any physical, emotional, any mental. Yeah. So
It's
like,
good. It's good that you clarify those things
Yeah.
because even when I spoke to you, I said, what are you up to now? And you're explaining what you guys do. And some of the places or the institutions I didn't know were classified as institutions.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think that's really good for people who might not know
yeah,
Yeah.
to know that.
I think
Yeah.
maybe you should emphasize on grooming as well, because
Yeah.
a lot of people they don't know what it is. Because in my work I've had to like look after a lot of kids that
Yeah.
are in homes, and they just say, I'll ask them, well, like what happened, and like just
Yeah.
speak to them. They're like, oh, child safety said that my stepfather was grooming me, but they just like push it aside because they don't know what it is.
Yeah.
So if you could elaborate on that, that would be
No,
great.
of course.
Yeah.
I think a really good example of grooming is from the Australian of the Year award winner Grace Tame. She's a friend of mine. Her perpetrator was her school teacher, and he groomed her for many years, and used coercive control. Just always like sort of putting her down, and using manipulation as a tool. She talks about that a lot in her book. And some other examples of grooming could be like these church priests, or maybe someone like a soccer coach or footy coach would like go to the parents' house and make friends with them.
Build trust.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe like, have a drink with them.
Yeah.
Maybe like go out and say, hey, I want to buy, I'm going to go out, get some lollies, or go down the shop.
Yeah.
Can the kids come?
Yeah.
Just building trust and rapport with the family
Yeah.
members. And especially in like where I come from, I grew up in housing commission, a lot of domestic violence.
Yeah.
In them situations, when you come from a lower socioeconomic background, when you don't have much money or food or like just little treats and things like that, like that means
Yeah,
a lot.
yeah.
Like to go down and get lollies, like your parents
Yeah.
might not be able to afford
For
that.
that, yeah.
Yeah.
And I guess it's just prying on the vulnerable.
Yeah.
Because they're naive as well. Because they
Yeah.
don't know anything about that.
Mm.
Yeah. It's interesting.
Yeah, it is. It's hard to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's really sad.
Especially sorry.
No, I was going to say happens more than what I
Oh,
think
definitely.
people are aware of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because they don't know how to identify it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
go ahead, Jacob.
Yeah, I just think it's disgusting. I think the churches, like all SA is SA, I believe, but like
Yeah.
when the churches use that position of power
Yeah,
in the
I don't
name
like
of God,
that
like
either. Yeah.
it's fucking gross.
Yeah.
Like
That's next level of
Yeah.
ignorant shit. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm so against that stuff too. I don't
All-
like it. No.
all church denominations are guilty of
Yeah.
it too. That's the thing that makes me sick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
Because they're supposed to be helping you,
Yeah,
supposedly.
not saying things like God wants you to do it.
Yeah, like, what is that?
Yeah.
Yes.
Now, Jacob, tell us about what your plans are for the future. I know you touched on when you spoke last time about leaning towards creating a not-for-profit.
Yeah.
So can you just tell us a little bit about future plans and
Yeah.
I guess what your goals are as well?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So my goals with my studies is to open up my own law firm one day to give, to be able to help people out like myself, like give the voiceless their
Yeah.
voices back.
I wanted to be a lawyer as well,
Yeah.
but back when I was studying law, I got charged, the irony, but it wasn't as accepted now
Yeah.
as it wasn't as accepted then as what
Yeah.
it is now. So I love seeing all the people coming up
Yeah.
and being admitted, like Richard, who you mentioned
Yeah.
earlier. I really, really like people coming up and seeing them being admitted to the board because
Yeah.
rewind
Yeah.
8.5 years ago when I was charged, that just
Yeah.
was not really
Yeah.
in the realm of possibilities of what
Yeah.
would be accepted. And I
Yeah.
think now people are really getting valued for their lived experience as opposed
Yeah.
to demonized for
Yeah,
it.
definitely.
So I think that, that's fucking awesome that
Yeah.
Yeah.
people are starting to come up the ranks and do that. So yeah, sorry, keep going.
No.
And what a
But
good opportunity too
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
you'd be.
that's
yeah,
cool. I'm glad
yeah.
that you can do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you, yeah.
Yeah, so I have somebody who's been to jail who works inside my organisation who's studying law. I've got a pretty big, well, not a big, but I've got a decent network of people who have been to jail and studying law. So
Yeah.
it's always really good to see other people out there, having a crack. Everyone has their own sort of reasonings behind that.
Yeah.
And so with my legal studies, I want to open up my own law firm. We're also working on a non-for-profit. We got an ABN about 4 weeks ago for that. So pretty
It's exciting.
Yeah, super exciting. We want to specifically help people that have been in jail to reintegrate, because there's so many 1%ers that stop people from reintegrating when they get out, because it's just really hard. And
Yeah.
for somebody who's not from the system to understand what it looks like, is when you are in jail, there's not many support services at all. Like there's nothing, and if they are, it's generally corrections run, so the guys don't trust them straight off the bat.
Yeah.
So to trust somebody who's, you know, does have a program and who's in jail takes a lot. So
It's very hard to get programs into corrections
Yes.
as well.
Yeah.
yeah,
Which is, another story.
yeah.
Yeah.
So with our organisation, we're already in there. We've already got trust and rapport with the fellas. They know
Yeah.
that me and my dad have done boob. We've
Yeah.
been to jail. So what we plan to do is, when you are getting released, most guys are used Suboxone in jail. It's like a drug that you use to come off methadone. To come off heroin. Could be methadone or Suboxone, which is like a little strip. And so in New South Wales corrections, you actually get supplied that drug. And if you're not on it, guys who are on it will sell it to other guys, or people smuggle it in Queensland.
Massive trade, yeah.
Yeah, in Queensland, you'll like you can't get it, so the guys will smuggle it in. So on top of that, you have like antipsychotic medications as well. So imagine getting out of jail, you're hanging out off that drug and maybe
Yeah.
antipsychotic medication. They don't give you,
Seroquel.
yeah, Seroquel,
Yeah.
plenty of that getting around. So if you don't have your script, you're fucked straight away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're hoping to get a support person to have the relationship
Yeah.
before, meet them at the gate, and then take them to parole, take them to Centrelink, get their ID, get a
Yeah.
mobile phone, because without any of these things, you can't do anything. Like you can't do anything without an ID. How do you get your
You
Centrelink?
really understand why people go back in, because it's so difficult when you come out. So I
Yeah.
think that that's a really important thing to focus on to reduce, reoffending rates and
Yeah.
to reduce the
Yeah.
amount of people going back inside. Thanks for joining us today, Jacob. It was
Yeah,
awesome
really,
to
really
chat with you,
appreciate it.
and
Yeah.
see you on the flip side.
See you on the flip side, motherfucker.